So let's start a poll. Uh, uh, you agree activism is more than LITI politics and the government, is responsible for a lot of it. Let's start that poll. See what y'all have to say about that. We'll try to turn this around. And thank y'all so very much for Charles Van Morgan in the morning. We're going to talk about activism and political activism and what we can do about it. There we go. Put it on normal. Thank y'all for coming, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff I've experienced in my life as far as activism. It involves more than just political activism. There's other forms of activism that can cause you to get damaged in your life. Going against people in government power, or simply doing what God wants you to do. Being active in what God wants you to do, what God asks you to do. And one of the main things that God is behind is spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. Try to spread that and see what happens. It can be dangerous, and also protecting human lives. That's a form of activism. God's behind those things. Charlie Kirk, an update on him. So we're going to cover activism and some of the personal things I've experienced, and make it up close and personal. And also we're going to, Charlie Kirk, the update on him from what I heard this morning. It's heartbreaking to me that someone would kill such an innocent young man. It's horrible. Horrible, senseless murder of a political activist spreading peace and peacefully having debates on college campuses. It's sickening. They haven't, update this morning from what I've heard from the major news sources, is that they haven't got anyone in custody involving Charlie Kirk's murder. A cheap shot sniper, one of the lowest forms of scum on the planet, to do that from a distance. That's sick. That's the world we live in. Because of a political activist. Even if you don't agree with his positions, most political people have come out and condemned that act of violence. But will they condemn it against acts of violence when the government is the perpetrator? The government is sometimes the perpetrator of violence against people in many forms. Let's hear them go against that. They won't do that. They, like I talked about yesterday, a lot of rule changing for peaceful protest, or a lot of rule changing when you're exercising your rights. What about that kind of activism? And what about when the government commits acts of violence and unlawful, illegal injunctions and rules? Even Martin Luther King dealt with that. Let's talk about government violence from people in government power. Nobody wants to talk about that. Oh, no. Let's talk about a lone sniper. How about let's talk about people in power violence? Let's talk about that. How about that? Oh, I'm not allowed to do that. Yeah, right. I'm not, am I? Yeah, that's dangerous to your safety, health protection, and well-being in it. We're going to talk about that. It's called freedom of speech on a public sidewalk.